Alright everybody, and welcome to what is the very first sunny but also warm version of this vlog. I mean, the sun's come out, it's 18 degrees, it's end of February and I've already got the skin out. So like in true British fashion, see a bit of sun, kit comes straight off. Baby oil on, bit of extra sheen. What do you make of that?
You haven't actually got baby oil on, have you?
Well, I did see it on the way out the house. I was considering it. I haven't. Obviously safety first, but I think it would be a good addition and it would make me look like I'm in better shape than I actually am.
That definition.
Definitely. And before we go any further, this is Rebecca Charles, my girlfriend. If you watch cycling on TV, then you might recognise her from Eurosport, ITV4, singing the praises of the domestic and international peloton.
Yes, that's right. Well, why am I here today? It's because although I raced many moons ago, I haven't ridden that fast in a very long time. So we want to talk about how you can ride as a couple or as a group when you've got a big difference in ability.
Perfect. Let's crack on.
Wish me luck.
Now the first thing we're going to talk about is something which actually starts a long time before we even throw our leg over the bike and put pedal to the metal in anger, and that is communication. So firstly, route planning. Where are you going to go? How far are you going to go? And most importantly, how much climbing are you going to do?
He's looking at me there because I hate climbing. So it's really important to manage those expectations, look at things like overall elevation gain and how far you're going to go as well.
Secondly, what sort of ride is it going to be? Are you going to go for a cafe ride or is it a training session? It's really important to communicate this right at the start so you don't have any paddies out on the road.
Yeah, the last thing you want is one of you chasing Strava segments while the other was thinking it was going to be a ride to the cafe. So again, manage those expectations.
Now lastly, as you can see, we're on a climb right now. So for us, when we get to climbing, we have to decide, are we going to ride it together like we are right now, or is one of us going to ride off to chase a fast time up the climb and hopefully bag that QOM or KOM. Check! Always let your ride partner know what's coming up.
Now in this scenario, as the weaker rider, something I find really useful is focusing on your technical ability on the bike. If you can make sure that you don't lose contact with the stronger rider going through tight corners, on descents, it means that you're not constantly chasing back on. And if you know there's a big climb coming up and you're going to try and stay together, use that momentum to again not get dropped.
Now riding in a group is something which a lot of people take for granted. But it's not something to be underestimated. It is actually a very hard skill to master, and it's something which took me a very long time, a good 10 years in fact, likewise with Rebecca. So for those of you who are maybe fairly new to cycling and they want to learn how to ride in a group better, to be able to ride inches behind the lead rider's rear wheel, then we've got some top tips for you, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, firstly I would reiterate that in terms of how much energy it actually saves, and it keeps you so much fresher on a ride if you can really use those wheels. But safety is such an important element, isn't it? Because
absolutely,
we're not telling people to rush in and sit millimetres off a wheel if you've never done it before. The other thing is, whilst we've both been very comfortable on the wheel in a group for a long time, when you are the weaker rider, which I can say from experience I often am, when you're tired, a lot of that technique can go out the window. So it's really good to focus on that. One of those things is really just keeping your eye, and it's important to always have an eye on the road ahead. You're almost looking through the centre of the lower back of the rider in front, aren't you? It means that you can respond to what's going on. If somebody hits a pothole ahead, shouts something to you, or a car comes the other way, you can really respond, but then it allows you to also keep in that slipstream.
And this is the thing, like a lot of the time accidents happen when people panic, and that's when things happen far too late. So if you're looking far ahead, then you can see a long time before a car comes, or if there's an obstacle in the road, you can plan and prepare to make sure that you have enough time to get round it safely in one piece.
And that's the other thing, whilst we keep reiterating safety, when you're going through sharp turns and descents and coming up to climbs, it's easy to lose contact with the wheel. And then of course if you're on the back foot with a stronger rider up the road, it's really hard to ride back onto that wheel, and if you do that one too many times, that elastic can break. So I always really try and focus on that technical aspect. If you know how to descend well, stick behind the rider that you've intended on going out with, and just help each other as well, support each other.
It's important to know, if you are the strongest rider, then you may well have to wait every now and again for your weakest to catch up. I mean, you're only as quick as your slowest rider, as the old saying goes. All for one and one for all. That's another important thing to talk about. Always lots of positive reinforcement. Come on, good job. Demolished it. Good job. Right, so we've bowled around for the last hour, managed to get through without many dramas, and we've ended up in the cafe having a coffee.
Yeah, I think today's been interesting because it's got us really thinking about what is core to a good bike ride, whether you've got training goals, which I know a lot of us do, or whether you are just out to spend a bit of time with friends or a partner. It's got to be enjoyable. That is why we all started cycling. Well, presumably most of us started cycling for that element in the first place. So you've got to remember that, because no one really wants to go and just put their head down and not have a chat and not enjoy it and not come away smiling at the end of the day.
Definitely. I mean, like, there's a reason we all do things, and it's for the enjoyment of it. Whether it be a job, whether it be a hobby, you know, enjoyment has got to be an integral part of that.
And coffee.
And
which
coffee,
is why
obviously.
we've stopped for coffee, obviously.
Yeah, but I don't know whether I drink coffee because I need it to ride, or whether I just drink coffee because it's a cultural thing inside me. I don't know what came first. Actually, to be fair, I do know. Cycling came first, and then I got peer pressure into drinking coffee. You can't be a cyclist at all without being a coffee lover at the same time. It's kind of just unheard of, really. You can't go drinking a cup of tea on a bike ride.
Yeah, I never drank coffee before I became a cyclist, actually.
Now, riding on the road is one thing, and I mean, I hope you've learned a few top tips on how to avoid a domestic or save a friendship today. Alternatively, you could just hit up the What Bike studio like we're doing at the moment, and I mean, you're not having to ride in a group here, you don't have to worry about any road danger. You can just ride hard next to each other. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's a really good idea, and it's a tip I got actually from Hannah Walker and John Mould when I interviewed them for a Valentine's Day special edition of Cycling Weekly, and they said it means they can just block out an hour or so on the turbo at home in front of Zwift, and it doesn't matter that they're not necessarily doing the same race or ability. I mean, they can also go off and try and be competitive, but it just means they get that quality time and they can really just work out together and encourage each other, which is a nice way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, talking about quality time, trading hard next to each other, what do you reckon? About time we got on with it, isn't it?
I think so.
I reckon so. We've got a 40-minute hit session coming up. Let's get on with it. Right. That's us done, dripping in sweat once again.
I think our numbers were trying to be different though.
A little bit. I mean, I've spent far too much time on an indoor trainer this week. I've having done the Zwift National Championships on the weekend, which was pretty tough, really, wasn't it?
Well, you say it was tough. Do I agree? Well, I was quite happy presenting and not actually taking part, so.
Yeah, well, easier for some than others, I think. But
yeah, I'll take that.
Anyway. Now, I hope you enjoyed this vlog. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you haven't already. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon, and hopefully we'll have Rebecca back on the channel at some point.
Thanks for having me, guys.
See you later. Bye-bye.